Alright, let's get this started. It's time for Heroes Q&A number 32. Huruma Red X's Q&A. Right? Yeah, the last one was 31. The last time I did one of these was like a month and a half ago. Almost 2 months and about 10 days, I think. So I went all of May without doing one. For those of you new to the channel, this video is usually really long. I don't expect it to get a lot of views, but some people watch it for some reason. So, let's see, since last time, a lot has happened since last time. There's so much to talk about, and I pre-select all of my comments now. So I have all those stuff right in front of me. I have like a new standing desk, because of... Well, I'll talk about that in a bit, but since I have the new standing desk thing, it's like a converter that you put on top of your regular desk. And I put my mic on it, and it's actually like a little bit more convenient for my mic stand, because my old desk, it's like one of those L-shaped desks, and there wasn't really a place to like hook my mic stand to, because I usually do it to like the side of the desk, but... the side of my desk on here is like on the left side. That's really awkward. So I had to put it on the back side of it, but the back side is like a little bar that comes down that makes it really annoying to actually clip it to. So the standing desk thing is like a normal little desk where I put my thing on top of it and then I just hook it to the side, and it's actually a little bit closer to me now, which is neat, but it seems like it's kind of in my face, and I think it's actually a little bit easier to record while standing too. Which is cool. So anyways, the reason it's taken so long to actually make this video, and also the reason I have a standing desk now, is because I've been having some health problems. Again, like earlier in the year, I had some health problems. I think that's a good way to describe what was wrong. I have IBS, irritable bowel syndrome, where... that makes it sound like it's some kind of like diarrhea disease or something. I don't know why. Diarrhea also makes me laugh when I say that. I guess I'll never grow up. It's like a thing where if you eat the wrong kinds of foods, your stomach hurts really bad, and so do your sides and your lower back, to the point where it makes you think you have something more serious wrong with you. It's not like a stomach ache. It's like... it infects your entire intestines and stuff. So I was worried about it at first. When I first found out about it, I went to the hospital, got a whole bunch of tests done, and they're like, it's nothing serious. I remember when the doctor told me that, he said it like in a, unfortunately, it's nothing serious. And then he started telling me about it, and I was like, how is this bad news? I was like, this is great. And then I had to do some stuff, like change my diet, take some mineral oil, and it was a pretty easy problem to fix. And then I started eating like crap again, and then it came back, and then I actually looked it up, and it turns out there's like this very specific things you have to eat when you have IBS, called like a FODMAP. Not food map, it's FOD, like F-O-D, with only one O in it. And I looked at it, and it's a very specific list of foods that you're not supposed to have if you have IBS. There's like no rhyme or reason to it. It's not like you can't have, like meats or anything, because you can. You can't have certain vegetables, but you can have other ones, like no asparagus, for example, or onions or garlic. Those are really bad. But other ones like potatoes or tomatoes, or lettuce, those are fine. So it's not like a just complete ban on certain foods. It's very specific foods. Like if there's some fruits I can't have, some fruits I can have, some meats I can't have. Like I can't have sausages or hot dogs, but I can have pretty much everything else. There's no straight up ban on bread, but I can't really have too much wheat. I can have some bread, just not a lot of it. Just like I can have some dairy, but not a lot. Like, I could probably have a coffee, but not two of them. Or I can't have a glass of milk. It's really weird. Like, you'd have to just look up this list and be like, wow, this is a huge pain in the ass to keep track of. And usually when you have it, you experiment with foods and you try them to see if they'll cause you troubles. Like, you stick to the map and then you slowly try some of the banned foods to see if they're going to cause you any problems. But as soon as I just stuck to the map strictly, my pains went away like in a couple of days, which was great. And then I just slowly started introducing foods, and I'm still doing that, basically. But what I found out is I can't have garlic or onions, which is in a ton of foods. You have no idea. Garlic is in like everything. It's crazy. You would never know until you have to have a super restricted diet like that. Also, no greasy foods, so that's basically like all fast food except like grilled chicken, basically. So I can't really have as much fast food as I used to, which is you probably shouldn't be eating that much anyway. It's no real surprise why I got the thing. But alright, but anyways, my IBS thing is completely under control. So I got a new problem like around a month ago. I think it happened like a couple of days before Mother's Day. So like a month and a week ago, like 5 weeks ago, I guess, where I started having minor chest pains where it felt like, I don't know, a dull pain, and sometimes it would be like a sharp pain, and it would just come for like half a second and then go away, and then that would be it. And then I'd be like, why am I having sharp pains in my chest? This isn't good. So I kind of put it off for a little bit. Like 4 days later, it didn't go away, and it was actually getting a little bit worse. So I went to the doctors, and so I've been to the hospital before because I had my IBS, like I was talking about earlier. I went and got a bunch of tests done to make sure it wasn't anything serious. And when I went in and told them I had chest pains, I was like, oh, I have, really minor chest pains. And they're like, okay, before we take you in, we're going to tell you up front that there's a high chance we'll send you to the emergency room. Are you sure you still want to, see us? Because there's like a $40 copay with my insurance. And I was like, yeah, of course. I'd rather just, rule out anything serious first. And they're like, okay, let me go grab the receptionist, because it was like one of their doctors or something. And the receptionist comes in. It's like, oh, so what are you doing here? It's like, oh, I have, minor chest pains. It's nothing like a big deal or anything. She's like, okay, before we sign you in, we're going to let you know that there's a high chance we'll send you to the emergency room. And I was like, oh, okay. I was like, wow, this isn't a really good sign. I was already having a little bit of anxiety about the chest pains, because I don't know why. I didn't have anxiety as bad when I was having my pains for the IBS, because those were painful too. And they weren't like in the stomach like a normal stomach ache or anything. They were ones where I thought, oh, this is probably something bad. The chest pains were actually a little bit, minor. They weren't hurting anywhere near as bad, but since they're in the chest, I guess there was some kind of like psychological things like, oh, this is much worse. And going to the doctors and having two of them say, you're probably gonna have to go to the emergency room. I just thought that was fitting. So anyways, when they saw me, the doctor basically said, since the chest pains, since you've had them for 4 days now, you're probably not having a heart attack, so that's good. And the fact that you're able to reproduce the pains by moving means it's probably not something inside your heart, and it's actual, your chest, like the physical part of it that's not your heart. And that's called chest wall pain, or costochondritis. I don't know what it's called. Costco? There's some really long technical term for it that they didn't tell me until later on. So like since it can be triggered, like by bending over or sleeping on my side, that means it's probably muscle pain or something. And the doctor's like, oh, I'll give you a strong prescription for some ibuprofen, and it should go away in a couple days. I was like, oh, well, that's cool. because apparently like 20% of all emergency room visits for chest pains turns out to be this. The thing I have, the Costco chest wall pain thing. So I went back home. I took my ibuprofen for, I don't think I've actually stopped. But, suffice to say, a couple days later, the pain didn't go away. And then 2 weeks later, I was like, I'm probably gonna have to go back to the hospital. Because the pain, it got worse after I got back, but I mean, it also kind of got better. I would go through like little waves of it hurting a lot, and then a couple of days I'd be thinking, oh, maybe this is actually going away, and then nope, it hurts. It hurts a lot. And the doctor did say to come back if the pains continued. So 2 weeks later, I went back, and I was like, hey, I have chest pains, and they said to come back if they didn't get better, and that was 2 weeks ago. And they immediately rushed me into the room before I even get to fill out paperwork. And I was like, oh, they don't believe me. It's just like when I came last time, they think it's something serious. So they did a bunch of tests again, and they're like, okay, so we don't have our x-ray machine here. Apparently you came here before, so we're going to send you to the ER. That way they can actually do real tests. And I was like, okay. So I went to the ER, and as soon as I walked in, because I went to the ER when I had my IBS too, and when I went in and told them about that, and they made me sit in the waiting room, I had to wait for like, I don't know, half an hour, maybe an hour. A typical wait. When I went to the emergency room for the chest pains, they're like, well, we're going to bring you into a room immediately, and I didn't even get to fill out the paperwork because I was put in so quickly. It's crazy how serious they take chest pains. Like, I think because I had my sister drive me there, and she just filled out all the paperwork while they put all this stuff on me because I had like a IV machine in me and everything. They went full out as soon as I got there to rule out a heart attack. Because apparently a lot of people die of heart attacks in the US. It is the #1 cause of death. I don't know that off the top of my head. I remember I did a research paper on suicides when I was still in college. And that was like a long time ago. I'd say about 5 years ago. And I remember on that paper, heart disease was the #1 killer, and then cancer was like #2. And suicide was like 4th or 5th, which was pretty high up on the list, surprisingly. So I might be misremembering that. But whatever, they put me in and they took a bunch of tests. They took a shit ton of blood. Like, they didn't take that much when I had the IBS problems. But apparently they ran a bunch of tests. They even brought the x-ray machine into my room, which was something I didn't think they could do, because usually I had to go into another room for x-rays and stuff. So they did a bunch of tests, and they basically said, you're basically fine, and what you have is Costco, this has pissed me off. I'm going to look up the word real quick. Alright, I have the paper in front of me. It says I have costochondritis. Costochondritis. It's such a long word. So, Costco for short. Costochondritis. They said that's like what happens for 20% of people who go in the ER for. Chest problems is for that. And they basically diagnose that when they rule everything else out. So it's like a process of elimination diagnosis, just like IBS was. Which is annoying because I have 2 of those where they don't know exactly what it is, but they kind of just give you a diagnosis because everything else that could be majorly wrong is ruled out. Which I guess is a good thing. And the doctor also said they have like 2 or 3 people who come in like literally every day for that. It's pretty common. I was like, oh, okay. So the guy's like, okay, so I'm going to give you some really strong medication, and your Costco will clear up in a couple days, like 2 or 3 days at most. I was like, oh, that's great. He's like, this stuff is way stronger than ibuprofen. So I started taking the new medication, and that stuff had a really bad side effect where if I got a little bit hungry, my stomach hurt like ridiculous amounts, like curl up into a ball and cry. fetal position types pains. I guess like if you've ever had food poisoning before, that's the kind of pain we're talking about. So that was new. I didn't know how little I ate until I started taking that, and then I ate whenever I started feeling a tiny bit hungry, because I was like, holy shit, these reactions to medication are not something to take lightly. So anyways, I took the medication, and after it ran out, because I only had enough doses for like a week, I still had my chest pains. In fact, like the very first day I started taking it, I woke up like at 5 o'clock in the morning with a ridiculously sharp pain in my chest. Like it was so bad it woke me up from my sleep, which has never happened before. And I was like, ugh, I did take my medication yesterday, right? It's like, hell yes, I did. My stomach hurt like hell. I was like, well, maybe it's just hurting a lot right before it gets better. So, after I ran through all my medication, I still had the pains, and they were exactly the same as they'd always been. And the doctor said, well, if they don't clear up, come back again, if the symptoms still persist. And I was like, I'm probably going to have to go back to the hospital since this hasn't worked out for me. And that was, like 2 weeks ago now. I haven't gone back. So all this time, like for all of May, I've just been having chest pains. Not very bad ones, but they are bad sometimes. And I still have them. Like I was waiting to make my next Q&A video until after the pains were gone. But that's probably not going to happen soon, or it might happen like next week or something. But I didn't really want to make a video, with like, well, I still have the chest pains and they're probably never going to go away. Because that's not really true. I made a whole bunch of research online, which is basically typing it into Reddit and then reading other people who dealt with it. And apparently, my case, with it not going away after a couple of days is super common. A lot of other people have the same disease. They went to the doctor and they basically told them the same thing and gave them the same medications. And they're like, well, it never actually went away, and I keep going back. And some of them even said they've had the disease for like years at a time. Like someone said they had it for 2 years before it went away. So I was like, oh, well, it lasted over a month. That makes sense. A lot of people were talking about how it lasted for months before it finally went away for them. So I was like, okay, well, at least I know it's not something else. This is just kind of normal for this kind of chest pains thing. It can last for a very long time. And I kept reading up on more of it, and it said that it could be caused, because a lot of them are caused by like lifting. Because it's usually like a common lifting accident, but I don't do any kind of lifting. The only kind of exercise I do is I go running, which I haven't done since I had the chest pains. Well, I actually did. That reminds me of when I first had the chest pains. I was like, before I went to the doctor the first time, I ran on my treadmill, and I did the 20-minute high-intensity run to see if it really was my heart, or if it was just, chest pains. Because I was like, if it is my heart, it's probably not going to survive me running high intensity for 20 minutes straight. And I did it, and I was fine. I was like, okay, well, that's a huge relief, because that was also a huge risk, because if it was my heart, that was like one of the worst things you could possibly do. But it was the risk, I didn't die, so we're good. I forgot I did that, though, and I think I told the doctor that, and her face was like, what? You probably shouldn't do that. I was like, oh yeah, that probably was really dangerous. Oops. So anyways, since I didn't get it through heavy lifting, another cause is it usually happens after you have like a cold, or, like a really bad flu or something. You have a whole bunch of mucus in your chest. I was like, well, I don't ever leave my house, so I don't get sick anymore like I used to. In fact, the last time I was sick was probably like a year ago or something. Oh, but I did have allergies in the spring, like 2 or 3 months ago, and I kind of just had a runny nose. Maybe that caused it, and the doctor's like, no, that's not what caused it. So it can just sometimes come out of nowhere, which is what I just assumed had happened. Until I read online that it can also be caused by bad posture. like if you sit at your desk too much. And I was like, oh, that's definitely me. I spend all day at my desk, except when I go running, or the only times I actually leave my room is like when I go eat or use a restroom, or when I go working out in the morning, or when I take my dogs for a walk, or when I go to the store. Which, I mean, when I list it all together like that, it sounds like I leave a lot, but that's not really a lot compared to the normal person, considering all those things could be combined into like an hour or two. So I spend like all of my time in my room at my desk because that's where I both work and play. So I was like, yep, that's definitely probably what happened to me. So I looked into a bunch of things. First off, I bought like the standing desk, because that's supposed to help with bad posture. In the fact that you can just, fix your posture on the chair like normal, but it's a lot easier if you just stand instead. And I was like, okay, because standing desk, if you like want to get into shape or something, or be healthy, standing isn't really that much better than sitting. So it's not really a good thing for that. But if you have a bad posture, or you have like a stabbing chest pains due to bad posture, it's probably a good idea to try that out, especially if you spend all day at your desk. So I got that, and I also have like this back pod thing that's supposed to stretch out my spine, and I got both of those things yesterday, and I'm already feeling a little bit better. Let's not knock on wood though. Hopefully this continues. But I was able to actually sleep on my side last night, and I didn't have extreme pain in the morning, which is something that hasn't happened for a long time. So, cautiously optimistic. I don't want to be too optimistic, though. Oh, I also should mention, I have been, like, sleeping on my back exclusively for, like, the past month, 5 weeks. And that fucking sucks. I miss sleeping on my side, or my chest, sleeping on my stomach. It feels so much better than sleeping on your back. You know how awful it is to sleep on your back and not being able to roll over at night? Because, like, I basically trained myself to sleep on my back, but it's not comfortable. And my shoulders are, like, always sore. And sometimes I'll roll over on my side in the middle of the night, and I'll wake up because I'm in pain. It's like, oh, I must have rolled over. And I just go back on my back, and that sucks. And that's the thing I miss the most, is being able to lay down on my stomach or my side. I can't wait to do that again. It'd also just be nice if I didn't have chest pains at all, but whatever. Okay, I think that's it. I think I pretty much talked about everything that was wrong with me in detail. So the reason I uploaded so little in May, like I think I uploaded 2 videos, when I usually do like 4, because I only do like 1 a week, but I've been trying to do 2 a week. It's just things keep happening. This year, I had so many plans this year to do so much stuff. I was going to have so many new series started, and then I got my IBS pains in February, and now my chest pains in May. Because my IBS stuff, those pains didn't go away for like 2 months. So I was only feeling better for almost a month before the chest pain started. So I was only not in pain for a month before something new started. And hopefully this one goes away, and then hopefully I don't get some kind of new pain that hinders my work again. But I guess I have it under control somewhat. So, yeah, enough about that. Let's go into the next part of this. I knew that would be a big thing because that was a pretty big problem for me. On Mother's Day, I remember that. I hit 100k subs, finally. That's cool. I don't really care. But a lot of people sent me messages about it, and a lot of people do care about it, which made me kind of care a little bit more than I thought I would. They're like, oh, are you going to do something for 100k? I was like, I have stabbing chest pains. I don't care. Because I had chest pains during that time as well. And I didn't do anything for the 100k, and now I'm already like 100 or something. 103 3K or something. Which isn't half bad. I actually started growing a lot more once I hit 100K. Because it used to be I'd gain like 50 to 100 new subs a day. Which is pretty slow for my channel and the size. And then, once I hit 100K, I was consistently getting over 100 new subs a day to like almost 200. And that was without uploading videos. Oh, all this talking is hurting my chest. When I was making the video, because I knew I had to make videos anyway, because I just had chest pains. And when I was making the 11 things that were added after vanilla but then removed before Legion video, which was like 20 minutes long, I'd uploaded that in 2 parts. Because apparently using my fake YouTube voice hurt my chest. Because one of the problems you have with the Costco, the chest wall pains, is deep breathing, which I didn't really have a problem with until I started recording sound for the video. Yeah, and using my fake voice used up a lot more lung capacity than my normal voice, and it hurt, and I was like, ow, it hurts to do this. So I was in pain while recording the entire thing, and I actually had to record it in parts. I was like, well, I'm done. I'm halfway through the script. I'll record the rest of it tomorrow because my chest hurts too much. So yeah, my fake YouTube voice uses muscles I'm not used to because it's not my real voice. The voice you're hearing now is pretty close to what my real voice is. My real voice is monotone. People complained about it though when I first started making videos, so I changed it. And now I get nothing but compliments about the fake voice I use, so it's a good change. But I just thought that was funny that it was giving me physical pain to use that voice, and I was like, can I get away with using my normal voice for this video? And I was like, no, I can't just do that. I'll just suffer a little bit of pain because it wasn't that bad. It wasn't like I was grabbing my chest the entire time or something. So yeah, I didn't do anything for 100Ks because I had bigger problems, like figuring out why my chest was hurting, which I didn't really get a good handle on until, I found about the whole posture thing. Like, I kept looking it up, and it was kind of hard to find stuff about it. And so I'm trying the whole posture thing. That seems to be working a little bit. But I literally just started it, and I'm already feeling a little bit better, which is nice. But I've already talked about that. I also made a new channel for DevBot, because I was thinking about putting all of my Dave and DevBot videos on that channel. After I finish up the 2 episodes for season 2, I wanted to have all 8 episodes done by February, but I got my pains in February, and those took a couple months to fix. And then I tried to catch up on real videos that people actually watch, and then I got a new pain. So, man, I'm like 5 months behind on that. I already have like the video half done, because I wanted to do is release a video when I have the next video ready. That way they have like a reason to go to the Patreon page and watch the next one if they want to watch it earlier. For free, of course, because it's not worth the paywall. So I have like one of the episodes done, and I finished it months ago. But since I'm still working on the last episode, I don't want to release it yet. And I have the last episode half done as well, but I haven't finished it. Oh, wait. I think my dog is outside of my room whining. I'm gonna go fix that. Okay. This is why they're outside dogs. Where was I? I don't remember. I think I was talking about Dave and DevBot. After I finish the 2nd season, finally, I'm gonna do all future episodes on the new channel I made for it. I'll have a link somewhere, maybe. So let's go on to the questions. That's enough talking about me and my health problems, and now let's talk about me and some other things. Questions. When I did... I think this was like a little thing I wrote. When I last posted my Q&A, it was announced like that morning that Haven Games had passed away. So I was bombarded with questions about him and that. So I'll just talk about him here in place of answering all the questions I got. Yeah, literally half the questions on my last Q&A were, did you hear about Haven Games? And on pretty much all of my videos, and on Twitter and Facebook. So yeah, I got tons of questions about that. I didn't really like getting all those questions because it was sad, and I didn't want to keep getting reminded about it. You see, I have a friend from work. He was a great guy. And, well, from my old work, because I don't work there anymore. And he passed away from cancer in December. Like December 16th or something, because I remember his 6-month anniversary came up like yesterday or a couple of days ago. It was very recent. I'm friends with him on Facebook, and his mom and wife like to tag him and stuff whenever they visit his grave. So I had a friend recently pass away from cancer, and then 3 months later, Haven Games passed away too, from a different kind of cancer. And I was like, oh, that sucks. These things always seem to happen close together. Because the friend I had, he was like the nicest, coolest guy you'd ever meet. He was also like a pro Halo player. Just randomly. He was like one of the guys who, when he worked in revenue. So when I was at the cash register, they'd come and take the cash register out and count all the money to make sure the money in the register and all the receipts from the credit cards matched the transactions, to make sure you weren't stealing money. He was always really nice, and then randomly he just mentioned that he was a pro Halo player too, and that he had to go to some event in Texas, and I was like, wow, that's pretty damn random. I didn't think someone who worked in the revenue office, was like that. And I was I've always been open about my hobbies, so he probably knew that I was a huge gamer too, so that was a nice thing to talk about. So he was like one of the few people at my old job who played video games. Well, I didn't actually play any first-person shooters, but he was a pro player, so that means he was way better than me. Really cool about it too. And then Haven Games, what was I gonna say? Like, I've known about him for years because of the kinds of videos I make. I usually look up, whenever I do research, I'll come across videos that people have made, and I usually watch those videos to make sure I'm not just copying someone's idea, or if I found out that a video I'm making is a complete copy of someone else's video, I'll sometimes tweak it a little bit, because sometimes I have videos that I want to make, and then someone else will make a video like really close to when I'm about to actually either start working on it or I've already worked on it. Like, I'm always super worried that, like, as soon as I make a video, I put it up on Patreon first, that way they can watch it a couple of days before it goes out on YouTube. And I always worry within those couple of days that someone else is going to put out an exact same video as mine. And they're going to be like, oh, so you made a video to copy this person, have you? I was like, no, I made mine first. I can remember like 2 times when that happened recently. Well, not recently. I remember when I made a video called like 11 fun facts about WoW or something like that. Ralph Krendor had made a video about like top 11 stupid shit in WoW. I don't know, one of his lazy top 10s that he does. They're intentionally lazy. I shouldn't say it like that. It makes it sound like I'm dissing those videos. I actually had an idea for something exactly like that before he started doing them. And I was like, shit, well, I can't do this because he's basically doing exactly what I was going to do. But anyways, he made like a top 11, and I just happened to already be in the middle of making a video about like 11 just random WoW facts, and I was like, ooh, people are gonna think I'm copying because it's 11 and 11. And I was like, I actually thought about just not doing the video rather than just change it to a different number, now that I'm thinking about it. But eventually I turned it out and no one really cared. And then recently, actually, there was a video I was going to do about all of the things that were going to be added to Warlords of Draenor, but weren't. So all of the cut content from Warlord of Draenor. And I had the video like already researched and like half made. That's how I do like all of my videos. Everything's like half written out. I have a bunch of just random blurps like this could be good in the video. And then someone else released a really well-made video about all the cut content from WoD. And I was like, oh shit, this was a really good idea. And I've never even heard of this guy before. I forget what his name is. I'm subscribed to him though, and I watch his videos. He's a great source of inspiration to me because he does a lot of videos that are similar to mine. And I was like, damn, these are some good ideas. Why didn't I ever have them? But I had the idea for the WoD thing, and I think I found it because I had the idea and I was looking up videos, and his came out very recently. Like, I think when I looked it up, it had just come out like a day or two before that. And I was like, shit, I can't do this video now because someone else has done it, and they're going to think I'm copying them. So I put it on hold for about a month, and then I released it. I also changed it. I cut out like half of the things I was going to talk about, and instead I just expanded upon things he kind of glossed over in his video because his was a lot longer, and I just covered everything. And I think a couple of people were like, oh, did you copy this YouTuber? And I was like, I am not going to say anything, because that's the best way to handle those kinds of things. Is just not say anything about it. But yes, I knew about it. It was one of those parallel thinking things. I just thought the video was too good of an idea to pass up. I think the video was pretty good, the one I made. So that's how I found a lot of Haven Games videos. This all comes back to that. Because a lot of the videos I made were about old stuff and the history of, you know, how WoW used to be, and that's a lot of what Haven Games videos were like. And he also had some really good footage. I hate using other people's footage in my videos, so I try not to do it if I can avoid it, but Haven just had such good footage of past things that aren't in the game anymore, or just really hard to get footage, that I would sometimes just use his videos, and I would say, whenever I use someone else's video, I put the name of the video and the channel in the video itself, and then also in the video description with links to it. And I also try to do it as little as possible, but I used Haven Games' videos like more than once. I don't think I've ever done that for any other channel, just because his footage was that good. So I'd give him a shout out whenever I had the chance. And his channel just didn't really grow that big, which was surprising because his videos are great. And I think when he died, he was only at like 20k subscribers or something. But my videos, I make them intentionally to do well on YouTube. I know how to work the system. A lot of people who do creative stuff and actually make videos, they don't really care at first about getting big. They think it's nice, and sometimes they get lucky and they can just do whatever they want, and it just happens to be popular with YouTube and their algorithms. But I'm a little bit more nefarious with that kind of thing, and I will title the videos and do thumbnails in a way that will get them a lot more views. So it's no... I understand why I'm able to do this for a living, because I game the system. I know what people want to watch, and I know how to provide that. But I also am not going to go and be the lowest common denominator and put the lowest amount of effort in my videos and pump out a video every other day like the Warcraft Bible used to do. He figured out the system, and he was able to put out a video just about every other day. Very low quality. He completely plagiarized the scripts from websites. But that's what YouTube likes, and he was getting lots of views despite just having super shitty videos. My videos, I like to think, are a tad above that. They're no, like, the Lost Codex. That's like probably the highest quality WoW videos on YouTube, is from the guys from Lost Codex. And I'm actually surprised they're not growing super big too, because usually if your quality of video is as high as it is with the Lost Codex, that's usually enough for it to take off and to get a crap ton of views without having to go the clickbait route. But they're still only like around 10k subscribers or something, even though they've been at it for like over a year now. Not a year. I think they started last year, like in August or something. But I thought they were going to take off way quicker than that. And I thought they would pass me by now. Because their stuff is way better than what I do. And Haven Games is kind of like that as well. His videos are way better than mine. But they weren't clickbaity enough. So he didn't get more views than me. Warcraft Bible passed him too. Warcraft Bible almost passed me after starting a channel for only like 6 months. That's the power of clickbait in top 10s. You guys, I talk about top 10s a lot here, and I know a lot of you guys like it because I know I have the statistics. I was looking at the statistics for my playlists the other day, and half of all views total for all of my playlists go to my top 10 playlist. Like 50% of people who watch my playlist watch the top 10 playlist. And then surprising amount, I had like 25% of the people who watch my playlist watch the History of Warcraft playlist, which I thought that was actually pretty surprising. You know, the history of WoW, like the history of Warlock Pets, the series I started before I got sick, or before I got my health issues. When I say sick, I think like, you know, cold or the flu. Health issues, I think that encompasses what the problems I've been having. But yeah, surprising amount of people watch that playlist. Considering the videos themselves don't get a lot of views, but they also don't get like terrible views, you know, like my machinimas do, where it constitutes like I can make the videos and they'll be worth my time, but it's definitely worth much more of my time to make a top 10, or newly, the Warcraft Minifax videos. All of those videos have been doing well. I don't know why, though. That is a complete mystery to me. So, I guess not all of them have done well. A couple of them have only done pretty mediocre. But I've had a lot of surprising hit videos from that series. I don't get it. There's no numbers in the names. How is that something that's... Well, I guess the titles are pretty clickbaity. Like, who was the human at Vol'jin's funeral? Or, did you know Vol'jin had a son? Vol'jin videos are the way to go. Those both got a lot of views. What was I talking about? Oh, I think I was talking about how it was sad that Haven had such a good channel with videos a lot better than mine. But he didn't get as big as I did. I say that like I'm some huge YouTuber or something. I'm not. I'd consider myself like I don't even think I'd consider myself a medium YouTuber. Those would be like people with hundreds of thousands of subscribers. I consider myself a small YouTuber still, in the grand scheme of things. A small YouTuber who's able to do YouTube for a living solely, which is nice. I can actually make more than enough to live off. But that's because my expenses are pretty cheap. Even with all of my hospital visits, I think the most I had to pay was like a $115 copay when I went to the emergency room. And that was not really a big deal. I was able to pay that with little problems. I was like, oh, it's really nice to have disposable income. Because I basically save all my money for taxes. Because I have to pay those out of pocket. And the only thing I really spend my money on besides that was food, which I've been cutting down on a lot because of my health issues. And besides that, I've recently gotten to Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links, which I've been spending a lot of money on. Not a lot. I've been controlling myself. I started playing the game when I first got my chest issues because I was laying in bed a lot. So I was on my mobile phone. I was like, oh, let's try Duel Links. And I think I've spent only about $100 on the game so far, which isn't so bad, I think. I mean, I've spent like 2 or 3 times that amount on Heroes of the Storm, but then again, I've been playing that game for years. I think it came out like in 2014 or something, and I've been playing it since the beta. So of course I've been spending that much on that, but man, it's so enticing. Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links really knows how to get you to spend money on their game. Because I was playing Plants vs. Zombies, the card game. I forget what it's called, Plants vs. Zombies Heroes or something. And that card game, it's really hard to get cards. Like, they do not give you anything when you start off with. They give you really shitty cards and make it really hard to just get more cards for a card game without paying money. And in order to actually get like the in-game currency, in order to buy packs, you have to do a lot of shit just to get a tiny bit of money to buy one pack. And Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links, they give you coins like candy. They give you so much coins to buy the packs, and you can buy so many packs in the game for just free. I like when I first started off, they gave me like 1,500 coins from just like back pay from events they'd done previously, recently. And that was enough to buy, I don't know, like 30 packs, which is a shit ton of packs to buy, considering in Plants vs. Zombies I only had enough in-game currency to buy like one pack. And I think I spent like $2 to buy another one that was like on sale and for one of the heroes I had. So going into Duel Links, where they've just given me packs like candy, I was like, oh, this is how you do it. Just give them a taste of it first, and then they'll spend the money, because they also had some really sweet deals where, you know what, that's enough about that. I forgot what I was talking about. I think I was just talking about Haven Games and how I used a lot of his videos, but I credited him. And I say I used a lot. I think I used his videos like 2 or 3 times. Because there were a lot of times where I wanted to use him, but I was like, I've already used his videos like 2 or 3 times. I gotta stop this. Oh, so yeah, that was sad. And I'm glad people finally have stopped tweeting me about that, because I hated being reminded of it. The best thing to do when you have sad information like that is just to try to move on from it. I think, because I have stuff like that happen a lot. So I know how to deal with bad things that happen, but not really deaths, I guess. Because I had the friend who died in December, and I get reminded about him all the time because he gets tagged a lot on Facebook. And I could fix that if I just, unfriended him, but I don't want to do that. I can't bring myself to do that. And I guess with Haven Games too, I guess it's not bad to be reminded about them, to celebrate their life, not be sad about their death. Because the last time I had a friend die was like in 9th grade. I had like this table that we sat out, like the lunch table, where usually you have a group of friends you sit with. One of my friends in that group, he died over the summer in an ATV accident. So that was in 9th grade to 10th grade, so since he died over the summer, I guess that kind of lessened it, since I already wasn't seeing him for long periods of time. And when I started up high school, because in the area I was going to, high school starts at 10th grade, I had all these new friends and problems to deal with, and that was also around the time when something else really bad happened, so that wasn't really high on my concerns, which is kind of sad to say thinking back on it, since he was a good friend too. So that's enough talking about death. And the death of a fellow WoW YouTuber who made better videos than I did. Okay, on to the next questions, I guess. I'm gonna take a little break first, though. Alright, and if I edit this video correctly, it'll be like there was no break at all. Okay, so I have a couple of questions here. I'm gonna try not to spend too much time on them. I say that now, but I usually just ramble on about stupid shit. If you're thinking of changing your channel name, you should change it to something like The Warcraft Bible. No joke, that's a pretty good name for a channel. I wish I had thought of that myself. It has a nice ring to it, and it sounds like something you can come up with on your own 100%. I highly enjoy your Q&A videos because they are a window into your personal life, or at least the parts you feel like sharing anyway. They are interesting to me, and I always look forward to your next one, since I started having my questions answered by you, which is awesome, I think. Now, my first question. You know what? I should probably say the names of the people in these from now on, because I think that would give the people who ask questions a nice jolly. You have to give them a big old fat one if I read their name out when I answered their question. Now, for my questions of the month, have you played a lot of console games with friends as a kid, or were you the loner kind of guy that doesn't need anyone to be entertained? Actually, let me just read the rest of this before I answer that. Also, if you had to live on a deserted island, which is a rare commodity nowadays, I hear, for an entire year, what would it be and why? What kind of deserted island? Third and last question. Do you think my questions are good or just kind of annoying and I make too many assumptions when asking them? Okay, so first question. Did I play console games with friends, or was I a loner kid that didn't need anyone else to be entertained? Both. When I was a kid, I was a social butterfly and I made friends very easily because I was really assertive and outgoing. So I didn't really have problems making friends, and I would sometimes go to their houses and play video games, or they'd come to mine and play video games. Also, when I was alone, I had no problems entertaining myself because I had a very active imagination. I used to play with toys all the time, all the way up until like high school, until... Sadly, I would still play with toys today, action figures, but I just kind of lost the wanderlust. I can't just sit down and play with action figures like I used to and still be completely entertained, which is sad. I didn't give it up because I thought it was childish. I gave it up because I kind of just naturally grew out of it, which is something I hate to do. I don't just deem things childish and then stop. I stop if there's no reason to do them anymore. And that's something that I just can't do anymore. I can't play with toys like I used to. And that's, so bad. I used to have such elaborate situations for them too. I remember I used to play like football with all my action figures. I had like this Homer mini stuffed animal you got from like a claw machine. And he was the quarterback. And then I had these people and I'd play him and have them do all of their things one by one. And then I'd have them run the ball and throw. It was a lot of fun. My God, that was a lot of fun. I also had like Legos too. I'd build those into like robots and then I'd have them destroy each other. I'd spend hours building a whole bunch of just like robots and shit, and then I'd have them destroy each other in a couple of seconds. And that was so much fun. That's part of the reason why I thought I wanted to be an architect when I was in high school, because I enjoyed building Legos so much. Turns out I had a lot more fun destroying them after I built them. So that wasn't really my career choice. Also clay. Clay was another thing I used to like to build too, because it could kind of be like Play-Doh, except you can smash them in, or if you had like an action figure and a clay figure, you can have the action figure like bash its head in because it was clay, which was really nice for the role-playing kinds of things I do. I guess I would do mass role-playing. That's a good way to put it. I think that's how most kids used to play with their action figures and shit. Which I can't do anymore. My imagination doesn't work that well. Which sucks. Because that was very entertaining. Oh, I also used to draw a lot. I used to draw lots of comics too. I had pages and pages of comics. I also would do like the flip comics too. Like I had a whole bunch of books just randomly, and I would do page by page, draw a little something, and then I would go to the next page and have it move a tiny bit. Legit animations where if you flip the book, there would be two people fighting each other. And I used to do those all the time, as well as just regular comics. With stick figures, because I couldn't draw. I was really bad at drawing. I practiced for years. Usually when I tell people, like pretty much every time I tell someone, oh yeah, I always wanted to be an artist when I was little, but I gave up after I found out I had no talent. They think, oh, you should just, try harder, or, you should just go back into it, do a little bit every day. I was like, oh, I know I said that really casually, but I mean, if you really want to get into it, I started drawing when I was in first grade, and I gave up in high school. That's how long I tried to get good. You don't spend years and years upon your life trying to get good at something, and then just give up because you didn't try hard enough. I don't think I could have tried harder. Probably I could try again, that I'm an adult. I'd probably do a little bit better at it, since I'm probably more dexterous with my fingers than I used to be. But I've seen some of my past drawings. It's like, there's no way I'd be able to do that today. It's still not good. I was never as good as I wanted to be. And that's why I gave up. I think the thing that really made me give up, though, was when I was in advanced drawing class in 9th grade. Because I also took every art class I possibly could in school. So I was in advanced art, and there was this girl who sat in front of me. And after we had finished whatever we were doing, she just started doodling real quick on a piece of paper, and she drew the perfect like anime character, something I'd always wanted to do well, and she just did it super good without any kind of outlines, no circles or anything. She just free drew straight into all the details and everything, and it looked amazing, like something right out of a magazine or, you know, one of the mangas. And I was like, damn, that's talent. I can't do that. I'll never be able to do that. She was so much better than I'll ever be. And that's when I gave up. And then, like a year later, when I joined football, I guess I was in 8th grade, I was effortlessly better than everyone else on the team. And I was like, oh, this must be what that girl felt like with her drawing ability. I have athletic talent, but it doesn't... no, that's what I'm trying to say is I was really talented in one thing, and that's why I know I don't have talent in something else. Because I know what talent's like. It's being better than everyone else. And being able to do more than other people with less practice, or, you know, just getting it better, getting things quicker. The more practice you put in, the better and better you'll get, while everyone else just tries to keep up. I'm not going to talk about football. I talk about football all the time. What I'm trying to say is, I don't know why I started talking about drawing. I knew I'd go off on a tangent. Let's just end it there. I wasn't good at enough. I wasn't talented. And I know this for sure because I tried for a really long time. And I was also talented in something else. So I know what talent feels like. And I didn't have it for drawing. Also, if you lived on a deserted island, which is a rare commodity nowadays, I hear, for an entire year, what would it be and why? If I lived on a deserted island, what would it be? Are you sure you didn't mean to ask, like, what would I bring? Or something? Because living on a deserted island sounds like it would suck ass. Nature sucks. I don't like nature. I like to, you know, look at it through like a TV screen or something, or, you know, pass by it on a car. But actually being out in nature's terrible, because nature's garbage. But I do like landscapes and shit. I just don't actually like nature itself, because nature sucks. Third and last question. Do you think my questions are good or just kind of annoying and make too many assumptions when asking them? They're fine. A lot better than some of the other questions I get. Most of the questions I get are you gay? LOL. I was like, probably not. Next question. So many new fags are now learning how to pronounce Haruma Red X. Now for my question. I remember in my last video, at the very beginning of it, I pronounced the name of my channel, and I don't want people to comment like, oh, I've never known how to pronounce your name before. And I was like, well, I don't blame you, because it's just Japanese. Now for my question. Do you prefer busty women or lowlies? I swear to God, if you answered traps with feminine penises, Hiro is gay confirmed. Do I prefer busty women or lowlies? For those of you who don't know, lowlies is like children, but in anime form, like drawn children. So do you prefer like flat chest or stuff? I like boobs of all sizes. I don't discriminate. But I guess busty women is nice too. Really nice. I'm more of an ass man though. So boobs are like a secondary concern for me. But flat or big, both are fine to me. But not lowlies. Even if I did like lowlies, I'd never admit it because that's gross. Next question. I think I actually answered that one seriously without talking about the feminine penis thing. Thank you so much for spoiling... Oh, this is a question. Thank you so much for spoiling all the anime you mentioned here, Hiro. You are awesome. I should probably stop doing that. This question is obviously sarcastic. I was probably talking about anime and spoiled it entirely. I'll try not to do that from now on. Next question. So, do you have, or have you ever had, a girlfriend? Do you attempt to have one? If the first two answers are no. Do you have, or have you ever had? Do I have one currently? No. Have I ever had one? Kind of. Does it count if you only go out for like a week? Because that's happened a couple times. Like I've gone out on dates before. I've asked out girls and they've said yes, and we've gone out and things just didn't really turn out well. or the date went fine, and they, I'm not gonna be vague. There was one time where I went out with a girl. The date was really nice. We had a lot of fun. And then the next day we worked together, and she was super mean to me because we were both working like in the kitchen together. Because the place I worked at, we would alternate through a whole bunch of stuff. And I just happened to be working in the kitchen that day, and she was really mean to me and bossing me around and just yelling at me for like imagined mistakes because I'm not bad at really anything I do. So I was like, I know how to do this stupid easy job. I don't know why you're being so mean to me. And the problem happened with the fact that I am not a passive person, and I usually am confrontational. So she was being unusually mean to me that day, and I was answering in kind, and she did not like that. To the point where she actually walked out in the middle of the shift and got fired. And so I never spoke to her again. That was weird. I don't know what was wrong with that. And then there was another time where we went out, and it was just kind of a boring date. And then we kind of talked to each other, and then we just kind of stopped talking to each other mutually, which was really nice because I didn't want to feel like a bad person for, not wanting to go out with them anymore. I was like, well, I've never had like a real girlfriend before, so I guess I might as well keep going out with them, even if I'm really not that interested. And luckily she wasn't that interested either. And I was like, oh, actually I was a little bit hurt. I was like, wait, really? She's not interested in me, but I'm so great. I was like, oh, well, putting my ego aside, this is actually pretty good for both of us. So that didn't really last for a long time. And then there's, well, I think that's enough examples. Things just don't work out. And I don't really ask out a lot of girls. I think the last time I asked someone out was, well, I guess that was pretty recently. Well, the one before that was like 2012. So, like 5 years ago. Holy shit. I don't meet a lot of people when I'm in my room all day. I have met through people through video games and stuff, but I don't want to, I won't go into that because I'm still, talking to those people today. And I know some of them watch my videos, and they'll probably be watching this. And I don't like to talk about people behind their backs in my videos because that's a really stupid thing to do. So I'll just end it there. No, I don't think I've ever had a girlfriend, but I don't really have any problems in that department. It's just I have a kind of a lack of interest is a good way to say it. Maybe someday in the future, if it just kind of happens. I don't really ever go out and specifically look for girls like normal humans do. Next question. I don't think I've ever actually answered that before. I wonder if I've even been asked that before. I probably have, and I just skipped over it. No, I don't think I ever have. Next question. As with any fanfiction, I use that loosely to describe Dave and Devbot. As with any fanfiction, I use that loosely to describe Dave and Devbot. You have to have a self-insert. Is Beethoven that self-insert for you? I've been writing stories for a really long time. I don't really have self-inserts anymore. I could understand that if that was like one of my first stories, and I can understand you thinking that because Dave and Devbot isn't very good. But I don't have a self-insert for that. That being said, I do really like the character of Beethoven. He's a really interesting character to write for. And I think I talked about that last time, and I'll explain it to you. For those of you watching this video, and who have never actually watched my Dave and Devbot series, which is probably like all of you, because it's not very popular. Beethoven inside the series is a mage who knows everything. But he's also in love with Dave and Devbot, the two main characters. So he's an omnipotent being who's also just a huge fanboy who always just wants to get the main character's attention, which I think is a really interesting dynamic to write about. I think it's really fun to write about it, because if I have him say any line of dialogue, I have to think, is this something someone who knows everything would say? And since he's kind of a huge pervert, because I also wrote him as someone who likes to get beat up, in the masochistic way, I can get away with a lot of that stuff because it fits within his character, because he's kind of a crazy person, and it's just a lot of fun to write. Because I have to keep that in mind. It's like, is this something someone who knows everything would say? Or if anything in the plot happens around him, there has to be a reason why he let it happen, since he knows everything. And in this universe, there's no, like, workarounds, like, oh, he didn't know because I had, like, a blocking device where they're not able to know something about it. Kind of like with The Watchmen, how there's a character in the universe who knows everything, and the only reason they were able to, do the plot of The Watchmen, I guess I probably shouldn't spoil that since I said I won't spoil stuff anymore, was because one of the characters built a device which blocked his omnipotence. I can't say that word. It was able to block one of the characters' ability to know everything. Which worked really well. Watchmen is really good. I didn't base Beethoven on that. I based him on something else. There was this character in this one manga I read called Lucifer and the Biscuit Hammer. It's written by the same guy who also wrote Spirit Circle, which is another manga that's not very well known. But they're both so good. Spirit Circle is like the best manga I've ever read. It is so good. But anyways, this other work he wrote, Lucifer and the Biscuit Hammer. It's about like this like royal, it's like a battle royale where a mage wants to destroy the world, and he has like a giant hammer in space, like just made in space, that can be used to destroy the world at any time that he wants. But there's another really powerful psychic who stops him from doing it because they're both like twin brothers and sisters, and one of the psychic powers that the dude got, he thought, well, I'm so good at psychic powers, I can do anything. How about I destroy the planet? And so he did. And then he's like, ooh, there's an infinite number of timelines. I'm going to go to all those timelines and destroy all those planets. And his sister's like, I'm just as strong as you, and I don't think it's a good idea for you to go out and kill everyone. And he's like, okay, how about we play a game then? I'll have the Biscuit Hammer in space, and then we'll have a game. I'll create 12 golems, and you have to pick 12 random people and give them like, special powers. And if your 12 people are able to defeat my 12 golems, I won't destroy the world if they're able to beat me as well at the end. And she's like, okay. And she lost every time so far, because he goes down and fights him at the end, and he's a super powerful psychic who's able to destroy the world. So of course, he wins. And that's just like a prelude to it. The story starts off with, the 12 people getting their powers. And randomly, just one of the people who gets the powers, the Swordfish Knight, they all just have random animals. Like, there's no rhyme or reason. One of them's a swordfish, one's a horse, one's a dog, one's like a lizard. And the Swordfish Knight, he randomly is a 600-year-old man who knows everything. And I thought that was such an interesting thing, because that has nothing to do with the story. Like, that could be a story in itself, like a guy who one day just learned everything. And since this old guy knew everything, he knew when he would die, and for some reason he was able to live for over 500 years, which I don't think was ever really explained, but the guy knew everything, so it's not really that bad. And towards the end of his life, when he was getting to the part, because he knew he would die with the battle between the psychic, he also knew who would win, but he didn't really tell anyone, and towards the end of his life, he started losing his powers, which I thought was a good way to balance it. Like, he knew everything, but his knowledge started getting bad as he got older, kind of like someone with Alzheimer's or something. And he ended up dying saving 2 little kids. And his backstory was just really, like, well told. And I remember just falling in love with the story after he was introduced. He's basically a side character. They explain his backstory in one chapter, and he's only ever referenced like in passing, because the two little kids are also like one of the 12 knights that are chosen. And I just thought, man, he was the best character in here. Just randomly an old guy who knew everything, and he had such an interesting backstory too, about how he knew he would die like 600 years in the future. So most of what he did in the current day didn't really matter to him. And he had like this kid come up to him, and he's like, oh, these bandits came to my village and they killed everyone. I need to be able to get strong enough to avenge them. And the old guy was like, I don't think that's a really good idea. And then he said, like, in a thought bubble, he's going to go back to the village in 10 years and fight them and lose and come back. And then he trains the kid anyway, and the kid goes away in 10 years to fight the bandits and comes back. And he's like, well, I made dinner for you. And the kid grew up his life and lived a normal life, got a wife and everything, had kids. And the older guy just kind of looked at everything with, like, well, I knew that was all going to happen, so there's no real surprises for me. I guess I'm just going to wait for 600 years in the future when I'm going to die. There was more to the story than that, but I just thought it was such a good character trait to just randomly give someone in a story that doesn't involve the character knowing everything. Like, that could be a story in itself, like someone who knows everything and goes out and does stuff. But what if someone who knows everything is just a side character? How would that interact? And that's how I wrote Beethoven into the story, because I thought it was a really interesting character. So yes, I do really like him, but he's not my self-insert. Not at all. That'd be really weird self-insert considering the things he does. Okay, so man, I put a lot of thought into that, to a series that isn't really all that good. So next question. This is getting long. Kind of annoying. Any fan fiction? Okay, these next ones aren't really long ones. Do you use Vegas Pro or Vegas Movie Studio? I wanted to be able to crop videos and images in Vegas, but I need Pro for that, sadly. Yeah, I use Vegas Pro. And I didn't know you couldn't do that in Movie Studio. Yeah, because cropping images is like one of the most things I do. It'd be weird to edit a video without cropping stuff. Or, you know, just manipulating the video however you want. Sony Vegas is a really user-friendly editing software. I guess I should say Sony Vegas Pro, since I guess there's another Sony Vegas out there that doesn't allow you to do stuff. Okay, next question. I realize it's a lot easier to do these things while standing up. I guess most of my breathing problems when reading scripts was due to poor posture. Next question anyway. I was watching some Yu-Gi-Oh vids and found somebody who sounded just like you. But oh wait, it was you. Weird. Yeah, recently my Yu-Gi-Oh channel hit 20,000 subscribers. Like around the same time my WoW channel hit 100,000. Which I thought was a pretty nice milestone to have. So 20,000 subscribers makes that channel one of the medium-sized Yu-Gi-Oh channels, because that side of YouTube isn't very big. That channel actually does very well for itself. Remember at one point I was actually considering stop making WoW videos so I could focus on my Yu-Gi-Oh channel, because it was growing so fast, and I eventually decided to just kind of half-ass both of them instead of whole-assing one of them. And it worked out well for me. I have two channels that do well. Probably shouldn't be popping my knuckles underneath the mic. Sorry about that. But yeah, I have a Yu-Gi-Oh channel. It's called The Dual Logs. And I haven't uploaded very much in the past month for reasons I spent the first half hour of the video talking about. Next question. I quit WoW a month after Legion launched, but I've stayed sub to your channel. I'd really like it if you did more than WoW content. I do more than WoW content on my other channels that I haven't uploaded on ever since I tried to upload to my other channels, but I eventually figured out that I didn't have the time to both upload regularly to all of my other channels and work on Machinimas, because I wanted to have a whole bunch of Machinimas that came out this year, which got put on hold because of my health problems. And I guess those channels also got put on hold because of my health problems, since I was going to maybe go back to them after I had like all of the projects I wanted to do done. Because whenever I think about like oh no, I only have like a year left to live. What would I want to do? Oh, I really wish I had, put all of those ideas into videos. I really want to make those videos. Those are one of the things I want to do before I die. So I have to actually make time for that, and I didn't have time to do that if I was working on my other channels. So I have to get those done. That was one of the things I kept worrying about when I had the chest problems. I was like, oh no, if I die, I'll never get to finish my Boar series. And I really want to finish that. I also really want to do the one with Henrik Cross. I also really want to finish Dave and Devbot, because people will never guess the ending. It's so weird. Oh, but it's not really that popular anyway. So yeah, I have other channels with other stuff, and I don't really upload them to very often. Or I completely stopped back in February when I got my first health issues. I would like to slowly get back to them if my chest ever gets better. And I get caught up with my machinimas. But I do make other content besides just WoW. Like my Yu-Gi-Oh! Channel that recently hit 20,000 subscribers. Over at The Dual Logs. Next question. Was the name of the YouTuber that the network mistook you for Funky? Oh, I probably should have wrote down more about this. In the last Q&A, I think I talked about how, because random networks will send YouTubers messages all the time like, hey, insert channel name here. We really like your content. We've watched a lot of your videos. We're fans of your videos. A whole bunch of generic terms. Because they send like chain emails. And one of them was accidentally sending me a chain email for another channel. A person who only makes Team Fortress 2 videos, whose subscriber count was very similar to mine at the time. I was like, oh, they totally meant to send it to this guy. But they sent it to me instead, because they were probably going to send me one as well, which means I probably sent the one they were going to send to me to him or something. I thought that was funny, but I don't think it was Funky or something. It was some other... I don't remember its name, actually. I could probably look it up, but I don't really... I'm pretty sure it wasn't Fun K. Next question. Is there anything specific you want to achieve in life? I know you like the relaxed and solitary lifestyle, but do you at some point get married or anything like that? I think I actually just answered that a little bit while ago. I really want to create the Machinima series I have in my head for some reason. It's just fun to make stuff like that. I've been, doing stuff like that for a really long time, and it's fun to actually put them into thought. I mean, to put them into video form and then put them out there, and then have people talk about the characters you've created. Like, I really like getting questions about Dave and Devbot, and people asking about Beethoven, because I think, oh, people like the characters as much as I liked creating them. It's a really nice, egocentric feeling. So yeah, that's a good way to feed my ego. That's why I like doing that. I guess that is what I would like to achieve. I like to do small goals, though. I don't really like to think long term. Which, coincidentally, I found out is probably one of the reasons I'm generally a happy person, is because I set small goals for myself and I don't think about the far future. I don't think about unachievable things. It was that video by CPG Grey called like 7 ways to maximize a miserable life or something. And I was like, oh, I've been doing the opposite of all these things. So unintentionally, I've been living a stress-free lifestyle. The only thing that stresses me out is health problems, which is understandable, I would think. But would I like to get married or something? Marriage isn't a goal for me. If it happens, it happens. Like if I go out with someone and they want to get married, I don't really have strong reasons against it, so sure. But I also don't have strong reasons too. So I would be totally fine going out with someone for like, I don't know, 10 or 20 years without ever getting married. That's more up to my partner than it is me, because that's not something I care about at all. In fact, I have very strong opinions about how marriage is a sham. And it's just a way that people used to sell off women back in the days, and I can't believe it's such an accepted practice today. And there's no reason for it anyway. Long-term cohabitation is where it's at. But then again, women are taught to romanticize it from a young age, and they literally like play weddings and they think about that from a young age. And I used to think that was like, just fantasy in movies, but apparently it's a pretty common thing. I was like, really? Why would you want to get married? And women even fantasize about changing their last name. And I always thought, if I ever get married, I'd never force my wife to change their last name. But people gladly do it. I was like, huh. Well, I guess if you're raised thinking that's what you want to do all your life, why would you be against it? I always just thought it was weird. I always questioned stupid norms. I mean, I shouldn't say stupid norms. That's marriage isn't that bad either. That's why I have like a neutral stance on it. I say I have strong opinions against it, but I also know the other side of the argument is like it's really not that big a deal. As long as you sign a prenup, there's legal ways to avoid the bad things about it. Yeah, marriage isn't a goal for me. If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, I'm totally fine. Next question. I think. Sup, my dude. Will there be a Dave and Devbot cameo or something like that in the new Depressed Inzoth series? Just for the Easter egg or something. Also, in an anime scale, how strong is the cast of Dave and Devbot? I mean, if you could, can you compare the main cast, like Dave, Devbot, Jim, Beethoven, and Evil Dave to some anime character that you know of or something? That's it. Keep up the good work. Okay, so this is a two-part question. First off, will Dave and Devbot cameo in the Inzoth series? For those of you who don't know, I already explained Dave and Devbot earlier, but Inzoth is a new series I made called The Melancholic Adventures of Inzoth, where it takes place 500 years in the future. Inzoth has ruled the world, and he is bored of having no challenges, so he orchestrates a rebellion behind the scenes, and he tries to get people to try to fight him. Just out of boredom. I don't know why I messed up that word. And in headcanon, the Inzoth series takes place in the same universe as Dave and Devbot. Because in one of the Dave and Devbot episodes, they raise Inzoth out of his prison one day just because they're bored. And Inzoth turns out to be a very nice guy, and they become friends. Because in the Dave and Devbot series, Dave and Devbot themselves are kind of evil. They're like morally gray characters who do evil things sometimes, but they don't intentionally go out of their way to do evil things. It's just sometimes they're really bored and they'll release Inzoth from their prison because they can, because they're really strong. And Inzoth, in the headcanon for this, because I thought about this before, I don't have a plan for them to cross over during the series itself, because it's only 4 episodes long and I already have it written out. It wouldn't really make sense, because the series isn't really about Inzoth being up in front in the center. He's in the background, but he is the one the entire series is about. You have to watch the series to really get it. It makes a lot of sense if you have watched it. But if there's ever a second season, I don't see why not. Because in the world of the Inzoth series, it takes place in Dave and Devbot's universe. It's just in a different dimension. So it's not like in the world Dave and Devbot live on. So Inzoth basically just, when he got released, he went to another dimension and took over it. And that's what happened. And next question, if you could compare the main cast in Dave and Devbot to anime characters, how strong would they be? Well, they're really compared against Warcraft characters. Because, it's basically a WoW fanfiction. I think all machinimas are basically WoW fanfiction, so it takes place within the WoW universe, and it's a comedy series, so their power is basically as strong as it needs to be, until Evil Dave came in, and he was a lot stronger than everyone. So if I were to give him power scales, how would I put this? I made all the characters really overpowered in their own ways. I would say Devbot is the strongest because he was built by Dave when he was still sane to keep him in check. Dave is ridiculously strong, as seen by Evil Dave coming in and killing everyone. Jim is one of the best rogues in the world, which means nothing compared to how overpowered Dave and Devbot are. And Beethoven knows everything. So that's kind of hard to put on a power scale, because having all knowledge means you can't really lose a fight if you just avoid it, and he'd always be able to avoid anything unless he specifically got into a fight. And actually the end of the series will be with Beethoven versus Evil Dave, so you'll get a good answer to the question on how he's able to fight, considering I made his baseline strength to be that of like a normal person. He doesn't really have that much more physical strength or magic than a normal mage would. So I can't really give him too much of a power scale. So what would be a good anime to compare it to? I don't know. They're all like... I don't know. They're all like a little bit stronger than Kil'jaeden and Archimonde, but weaker than Sargeras, but not by that much. That's a good power scale, right? That means they're all that means Dave and Devbot are ridiculously strong. Jim is one of the best mortal rogues, which isn't nothing compared to them, and Beethoven is pretty middle of the road. It's just he knows everything. The next question. Oh, and Evil Dave is like 2 times stronger than Dave currently. Next question. Haruma Red X sounds like a Red Cross channel, to be honest. I guess it would, since it has the X at the end. I like the name, though. By the way, something I wanted to ask you. Are you too lazy to make an intro, or are you actually not using one on purpose in order to get the point faster? Because that's something I really like about your videos, since I usually listen to them mindlessly while grinding AP. Yes, I purposefully do not use an intro. I thought about it, like most YouTubers do when they very first started making a channel. It's like, what would be a nice intro for my channel? Maybe I should do a really long 30-second dubstep intro, you know, really loud with lots of pre-rendered After Effects stuff. That would be the best intro ever. I mean, I'm being sarcastic. Obviously not. I've seen some really terrible ones in the days. I remember I saw someone who had an intro that was like a minute long. I was like, oh my god, why? This is like a tutorial video for like a, I don't know, some editing software. I was like, why do you need an hour-long intro? Don't you guys know how YouTube works? Usually, if someone watches your video, like they click on it and they click away after like a couple of seconds, sometimes YouTube won't count that as a view. And even worse, sometimes they'll count that viewer like going away from your video as like a negative thing for the video. It's like, oh, this video's clickbait. People are clicking into the video and not watching more than like 5 seconds of it. And they'll actually stop advertising your video as much. So it's really bad for your video if people click off of it early. And intros are a good way for people to click off your video early. That's why most people who do intros have really short ones, like less than 5 seconds. Ooh, man, my throat's dry from talking for so long. And I just decided not to have one at all, because I thought if I'm going to get people to watch the video, I have to make the beginning of the video as interesting as possible. I put the most amount of effort in the beginning of my videos than I do for like everything else in it. So I like to make my intros look good, and I like to make them to the point and to tell them exactly what the video is about, and even, if at all possible, tell like the most interesting facts of the video at the beginning. Like usually, for all of my top 10 videos, the number 10 spot is like one of the most interesting facts in the video. Like sometimes it would be something that would probably should be higher up on the list, but I made it number 10 because it's an interesting thing to talk about. Because that's like one of the most important things. So the beginning of the video is really important, and you don't want to waste it with an intro. So yes, it's a very deliberate choice not to have one, because it would be cool to have one. I've been thinking about doing an intro for like my Machinima videos, though. That'd be fun. Last question, actually. Did you watch SAO Abridged? If so, how did you like it? It's actually amazing in my opinion. It gives all the characters a personality, and it's just so funny. If you didn't watch it, you should. I watched like the last 3 episodes of it, and what I did watch of it, I was pleasantly surprised with how good it was. I was like, wow, this is like a retelling of SAO with better characters. And I thought it was really well done. And I actually watched a video about it, about someone who says SAO Abridged is what SAO should have been. And they made a lot of good points about it. And it's like, SAO Abridged fixes a lot of the problems SAO had. And actually gives proper motivations to things. In fact, it's a better overall product than watching the original show. And is actually a preferred way of viewing it. And I was like, oh, and that's kind of the impression I got from watching it too. So, yeah, SAO Abridged, from what I've seen, is good. I haven't actually watched all of it yet, though. I probably should, now that I think about it. Okay, so, that's it for the video. If you have any questions for me to answer next time, if I haven't died from my chest pains, I'll probably answer them.